All right. It's been a long time, I guess, since we last spoke, maybe a couple of weeks. Um, so you told me today was a busy day and you were working in the garden.
Yes, yes. I guess there's a group of us who have kind of put together a community garden. There's a number of different locations around town in Perth, Ontario,
Yeah.
um, just to be specific. Um, and Yeah, so I guess the one garden is it's on the property of some friends, and I went out there just kind of on a whim. I started reading this morning, and I was like, yeah, this is nice, but in the back of my head the whole time I thought like, well, what should I do with the rest of my day? Um, and then just decided, I guess after about half an hour, 40 minutes of reading, that I should go and see what the condition of the garden is like. And it turns out that it's pretty much like the field around it right now. So we planted some onions and a few potatoes, and tried out a bed with us, the three sisters, so corn, beans, and squash. And pretty much when I showed up, it looked kind of like the field before we planted everything, but with some of the vegetables growing in the field. So it was very overrun, is what I'm trying to get
Okay. So has any of the crop been harvested or everything is growing?
Some of the onions look like they can be harvested. I was told by my one friend who lives on the property that the onions are starting to like flower. So I guess the pods have been released. Disclaimer: I don't know much about gardening.
Hmm.
A lot of it's hearsay, learning as I go. But from what I've been told, the bulb won't grow any bigger or anything because it's flowered. So I think the ones that have flowered are I can I'm gonna go back tomorrow, maybe then harvest them.
Hmm. Yeah. So I'm living with my parents right now, and my mom has a bunch of potted plants. She takes care of them around the house, and she decided to grow green onions. So she
Mm,
took like a small yellow onion, and then you keep it afloat over some water, and then
okay.
the water just seeps in and it starts growing a stalk.
Huh.
So that's pretty cool. I mean, I think it's cool.
Yeah. Have you ever grown an avocado like that? Where you like
No,
kind of
but
get the seed hovering over the water with toothpicks?
no, but I worked with someone who did grow avocados, and he
Oh,
told me it
nice.
was really hard.
Mm-hmm.
So what he did was he would take a plastic water bottle. I think you'd cut it and then
Okay.
fill it with water and keep the seed afloat over the water and fasten it into place using three toothpicks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And apparently that's how you make it grow, and then it starts growing
Yeah, it
leaves or a
sprouts.
stalk or whatever.
Yeah, okay, kind of like I guess like a bean. You know how it has a little shoot that goes up. My parents they tried for years and years and years, never got one going, and then year we had to sell our property or their property, I guess. I was just living there. um, the year they had to sell it, they got I think two of them going. So it was kind of like this weird coincidence that like after years and years and years uh, of not being able to grow it once we moved, basically we're moving from the family property, they were able to sprout two avocado plants.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was cool. And then the cat they got later ended up destroying it by chewing all the leaves off of it. So
I hear they're very sensitive to grow.
yeah, yeah, they seemed like it. They didn't. I think they got the plants grew to about I don't know. I'd say a foot and a half, maybe 2 feet, and they
Hmm.
sprouted a few leaves, but and then the cat happened. So
Did the
whatever.
fruit get a chance to grow?
No, no,
Oh,
nothing.
okay.
I think that the stem of the tree was still like probably less than a centimeter, around a centimeter maybe if that.
In diameter?
Yeah, yeah, diameter. So
Okay.
it wasn't very tall, it wasn't very thick,
Your screen just froze for a
and it was
second.
indoors. Well,
This is what you look like when the screen froze.
perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah, those moments are yeah. Only technology can capture that.
it's perfect.
Um, yeah. So yeah, I don't know. So yeah, I was pretty much just weeding all day, and then watering what I the couple beds of vegetables that I did end up weeding. Um, and then had a beer with my friends, and then came home,
Hmm.
and I'm
Yeah,
here.
yeah, that's crazy. So, I mean, it's crazy because I guess you were out all day, and at least here it's really hot. So, I mean,
Mm.
being out in the sun gets you tired.
Yeah, and
But
actually, I didn't eat anything all day either, and had a coffee in the morning. So I'm pretty surprised I didn't get more destroyed than I did. Um, so thank God for that.
so are ticks a problem in the garden?
uh, yeah, I guess so. There's this, I don't know. It's weird. I've not been bit by one. I think I in my whole life have ever had one on me.
Hmm.
I'm kind of take it for granted, I guess. I rarely check when I come in, and maybe I don't know. That's an issue, I guess. It could jump off me and onto someone else, but
Well, I mean, if you're good, you're good.
yeah, I don't know. I've never been bit myself. I know other people though. They frequently have ticks land on them when they go for walks in the field or forest. So
Mm.
uh,
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the same boat. I've never been bit by a tick, uh, so I don't know what it's
you
like.
don't even
But
recognize it.
yeah, it's weird, right? Like you can see pictures of them, but until you get bit,
Yeah,
it's just it's just something that exists.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's kind of it is almost fantasy. Like I kind of have to imagine like, oh, I guess this is a situation. You know, people have said this is a thing. I have to take their word for it. And so,
Yeah,
um,
but yeah,
but
it's
at the end of the day, it's also I'd rather not get it because it doesn't sound very nice.
yeah. I mean, it leads to Lyme disease. That's the general that's the
It's
general knowledge that you hear people talk
yeah.
about. So I mean, someone told me you should watch out for ticks when you're walking in like around tall grass. And
Mm.
so, I mean, in the suburbs, there's not any tall grass, so I think I'm good.
Yeah,
But if you're gardening, you're around a lot of nature, so I
yeah.
think it would be worthwhile
No,
to,
there's tall grass all.
yeah, just like take a look every now and then. Are you there? Are you there?
Sorry, man, you went slow motion. I don't know if you finished speaking.
No, no, I was just waiting. Did you hear? Can you hear me now?
You went in massive slow motion there. No, no. Yeah, kind of slow, bit slow motion, but oh, there we go. Okay.
So it's good now.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
connection restored. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I wanted to avoid editing the videos, but I mean, this
Mm.
happens not just with you, so I might have to
Yeah.
cut some of these parts out because
No, fair enough.
it
Yeah.
could be a lot of. Are you there?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
It'd be funny too if like both because on my screen I see you delay and then on your screen you see me delay, but then in the actual recording there's no delay, so we're just kind of like laughing for no reason, and there's this awkward pause and someone laughing and like what the hell's going on?
Yeah, yeah. So I just ran today. I decided to
Nice.
run for 6 kilometers or
Awesome.
1 hour, whichever comes last.
Mm. And
So
how did you make it? Do you get the 1 hour or the 6 kilometers? Or
yeah, I got both.
yeah.
So that was good. And
Mm.
about 5.5 kilometers in, a runner passed me, and he said, "Keep going." And then all of a sudden, I had this huge burst of energy that I used to push forward. It's
Yeah,
so weird
it
that that
is.
happens.
Yeah, I'll get that too if I pass someone. It's almost as if I don't know. Maybe it is my ego. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do better than I'm doing now, but I'm going to show off or something. But I do feel the surge of like, yeah, I'm going faster than I was before.
I was the
So,
other guy. The guy passed me and encouraged me to keep
oh,
running.
okay.
So I don't know. I mean, I
Oh,
think it was
nice,
valuable to hear that because
nice.
you hear it from a random guy. So it's like that person is acknowledging that you're working hard. And I forgot to mention I was
Yeah.
limping just to get through the run.
Oh, okay. Well, then, damn. Like, good. It's good, like positive energy that he's sending out there.
Yeah, man. Bless the random runner guy.
I was the other night. Yeah, yesterday I was playing soccer with I guess one of the groups that I've been playing soccer with. One of the guys is his wife is training for a marathon, and he said, I guess because of that, he's been running with her. And then he just said, oh yeah, and so I ran 12K today, and then I came out and played soccer, and I was like, hold the phone, like I can hardly run 6K without feeling like I'm going to explode, and then like my heels and ankles just getting destroyed. And
Uh,
so I started asking him like, oh, well, what do you do to train? Like, what's your tactic? And he was talking about um, he was talking about heart rate. So basically, running at a pace. So it doesn't matter like how fast you're running or how long you're going to run for, but basically running to keep a consistent heart rate. And if your heart rate goes above a certain heart rate, then it's like you got to go slower. And if it's like under, then you can go a bit faster. And so I guess using whatever watch he has, it monitors his heart rate, and then he can tell like, all right, I can pick it up, or I gotta slow down. And so hearing that, and then when we were talking before about the I forget the name of it now, the that watch, the Fuse the Fossil Sport watch. Um, I think I need to get one.
yes, but don't
So
get that one because it sucks.
okay, I did read some reviews, and people said that the battery was very low and or had like short battery time.
I don't mind the battery. It is
Oh, okay,
very short. It hardly lasts a day sometimes. But the
right.
worst part is the GPS sometimes doesn't
Right.
lock on, or it takes 5 minutes to lock on.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. That's what the reviews were saying too.
And I read those reviews and I bought it anyway.
So. Right. But I mean, I guess as a first time watch, it's kind of yeah. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's just sometimes you gotta make the mistake to learn from it. I'm like
Yeah,
that. I people can tell me things, and then until I actually do it myself, I don't necessarily trust what they say or do. Or,
there is a
makes
lot
the
of
mistake to
value
understand
in that. There's a lot of value in verifying for yourself.
it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think learning for a large part is like an emotional thing, and what you retain is like based on an emotional attachment to the knowledge or whatever is being inputted into your brain. So it only makes sense. Like, all right, this does not feel good, so I should not do that. Like, learning kind of that way, or this does feel good, so I will do that.
Yes, however, with regard to running,
Mm.
or after about 25 minutes into my run today, I started limping.
Mm.
So I set some targets in my mind as the run went along. Before the run, I'd already decided I'm running 6 kilometers or 1 hour, whichever comes last. So another way to say that is I'm running both 6 kilometers and 1 hour. basically the same
Right,
thing.
right.
So I had that in mind, and oftentimes my mind would say, "Oh, just get home. You know, your leg hurts. You might get injured again."
Mm,
So I set small targets. So the first thing I set was, okay, well, let me return to my starting point, which was near home. So I got to that starting point. Then I still had another 1.5 kilometers to go. So then I just looked a few meters ahead. I said, okay, I'm running to that telephone pole. Once you get there, I'm running to the intersection. Once I get there, okay, I'm running another 300 meters. So
mm,
yeah, that's how I set the targets, so that even though my body was telling me stop running, this hurts, it's not a good idea, I kind of overrode that.
right. Yeah, yeah.
So I think that's valuable too, but it's really easy to get injured doing that. So it
Right.
requires some kind of, you're taking a risk, but if you have enough experience, it's a valuable way to push yourself. And, you know, I mean, who wouldn't want to overcome things like that?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I found. It's like there there come I guess within like the first kilometer or so, I often feel like, I don't know if I should start, turn around, and kind of once I get over this threshold, then it seems like, my ankles stop hurting, my heel stops hurting. There are certain things that, barriers that before, like within the 1 kilometer kind of section, I felt like, oh, this is gonna keep me from doing the whole run, and then they kind of dissolve, I guess. Um, and then part of it too is letting, which is kind of strange because I think like, oh yeah, running's a great meditation, but then basically I'm just kind of absorbed in my thoughts, so I'm not thinking about my body per se. Or if there is a pain, I'm like, all right, well, I won't focus on that. Um, for better, for worse, I guess. But I find letting my thoughts wander kind of helps, because then I'm focused on that and not. But then I guess there are minute things like, what part of my foot I'm hitting that I should be thinking about, or my shoulders tense, my back tense. Like, so maybe I'm not thinking about the things I should be, but then also not thinking about the things I shouldn't be. So maybe it balances itself out.
That just tripped me out. You're not thinking about what you should be, and you're not thinking about what you shouldn't be.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you're in a meditation. You're just not thinking.
But I am thinking, so it is like,
Uh,
I don't know. I can't explain
well,
it.
the good thing is, or the interesting thing is that your mind is not a separate entity from your body.
Mm,
The brain is connected to the rest of the body. That's
mhm,
my understanding, and I
yeah.
haven't studied that. But so basically, what that means is, if your brain can tell your body what to do,
Mm,
then your body can also tell your brain what to do.
mm,
So how you manage that connection, one way and the other way, will determine what you can do. So
right, right.
when you were talking about when you're running, you're paying attention to your heel hurting or something else is tense, and then it goes away. Pain is a signal that is reminding you that something could go wrong,
Right.
but it's also a signal that you can use to your advantage and push your body
Yeah.
past what your body wants, right? Like if your brain or your mind, I guess those are different things, but let's just call it a mind. If your mind is telling you don't don't keep running, you got to stop.
Mm,
You got to feel your body and gauge, can I push this body further?
mm, mm. Yeah. I think there is a difference between like actual pain and then your body just sending out signals to make those kind of reminders. Um, and it's easy to kind of confuse it, I think. Like again, within the first kilometer, it's like, oh, well, I mean, my mind saying like, oh, you're in pain. I don't know if this is a good idea. But it's not actual pain. It's just like, slight tenseness that as the run goes on, it becomes less tense and goes away. Um, but I think it's easy to confuse that and then not do things because like, oh, it's gonna hurt down the road. And it's like, well, your body will be working and it'll be doing what it should be doing, but it's not going to be painful. I think of pain as like, I don't know, chopping a digit off, or like basically like something pretty traumatic is something that's painful.
Mm.
I guess it's the spectrum, really. I don't know, but yeah. I think for running though, it's yeah. I think that the pain isn't necessarily present during the run. It might be there afterwards, but during the run, I think it's just your body signaling like, all right, you can keep going, or all right, you should slow down a bit, but it's not like a pain in a traditional sense, I guess.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's amazing what your body's used to and what it can do that you don't even know.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's just it. I mean, um, there have been a number of times in my life where like this happened. It was just after high school. A friend of mine, and he basically volunteered us for a 10K run, and at the time I just stopped playing soccer. So before this run, it may have been like a year, 2 years. So I basically played soccer through all my childhood and teen years, and then stopped playing, and then 2 years after that went on this 10K run, and like hadn't run for 2 years, and I just, without stretching, doing anything, I ran the 10K and felt fine. Now 10 years after that, it's just where I'm at now. It's taken a number of months to kind of get it, but I think the muscles are still there, and it's I feel like my speed is still there. Like when I'm playing soccer with this group, I'm still keeping up, and basically as quick as I was. Probably not as quick, but it's as if like the muscles were dormant or something, and they've been woken up again. So I don't know. It almost seems like whatever you do, kind of in the early or childhood stage, it kind of shapes your body down the road. And it kind of remembers like, oh yeah, this was the thing I used to do way back when, and oh, this is how it feels. Okay, and then you can kind of get back into it. It's easier to pick up those habits again, or however it was that the body navigated back in the day.
Yeah. Memory is often associated with thinking, but your body has a memory too. And it's often referred to as muscle memory when you're an athlete. But that only begs the question, are there other types of memory?
Yeah. Yeah, like a kind of genetic memory, and kind of, well, I guess, yeah, like a memory is a kind of imprint, right? So I guess anything that can imprint upon the body or mind.
What's weird is, and I've had this happen to me a bunch of times, where like, let's say, so yeah, we did an open mic together in Perth once or twice. I think once.
Well, yeah, I think it was once. I can't quite remember, but for
Anyway,
sure once.
but so the point is, you and I might remember different things about doing the open mic, but as soon as we start talking about it, we can paint a a collective picture of what happened that night.
Mm,
So there's also this, and this, I guess you could call it group memory,
mm,
where you're with someone, and in a group of two or more, you can kind of figure out what happened.
yeah, yeah, that is interesting, because if both accounts of it, yeah, it's again, I feel like it's a kind of an emotional thing where like um, you kind of agree, like, oh yeah, that did happen. Then your imagination's kind of piecing things together, and like, oh, but then there was this detail, and you kind of like feeling it out, so to speak. Um, and so the memory is it's this reconstruction, but this kind of current conversation is reconstructing the situation then. So
Yeah, it's trippy, man. I was talking about this kind of stuff is, I don't know, man. It's just trippy.
it is, yeah. I need to. I'd like to read more about it. My mom took a course on memory at York University. And I guess looked over different like I guess fiction and nonfiction and how memory works,
Mm.
people's interpretation of memory, how memory has served them in their own life. Uh, yeah, I think that's one of my biggest fears. Really, is it's not even so much dying, but it's dying and not even knowing it. Like being in a state where I've got Alzheimer's or dementia, and I was like, I don't even know what the hell is going on, and I have no like um, no chance of basically recognizing the death process.
I mean, you would know that it's your body.
Right.
You've lived this
Yeah.
much,
Okay. Yeah.
knowing what it feels like, and if all of a sudden things start shutting down, you
But
may not be able to, like your body will know.
sure. But could I? And maybe that's it. Maybe I'm thinking about it too much. But it's like, would that process confuse me, or would it be like more enlightening? Like, oh, okay, I see what's going on now. Or would it be like, oh my god, what the hell's going on? And then
Mm.
forget about it, and then 5 minutes later be like, oh my god, what the hell's going on now? And forget about it. And
Yeah, that's a good point. If your awareness slips out of your control, how does that affect your experience?
then, yeah, it's I don't know. That's a lot of like speculation, projection on my part. Like, I can't even imagine what it's like. A, being old. A, having, or B, having a kind of degenerative disease like that, or even dying. So I'm kind of imagining all of these situations in one.
Well, I mean, if you're lucky, you'll die way before you get Alzheimer's. That was a half joke.
I've thought about that. We're 65, then like how much more time after 65 we might actually have? That's borrowed time, really.
Man, I said that, and then your screen froze, but it just looked like you were upset. So I wasn't sure if the joke was too bad or not.
Oh, that wasn't. I don't know.
Okay, okay. But this is kind of related, but not exactly. It's not related to memory loss necessarily, but it is related to awareness. So I remember one night, it was in Perth. Um, I was sleeping, and then all of a sudden I was just like I was my body was asleep, but then I was awake. So I tried to move my body, but I couldn't. But I could kind of lift my eyes a little bit. So I just saw my body just like lying there, and I was trying so hard to make it move. And I think I just gave up, went back to sleep, and woke up the next morning. But that was
Right.
crazy. I didn't know
Yeah.
that you could be physically asleep, I guess, but awake.
Yeah. Huh. Man, that must be so strange. It's like being paralyzed or something. And
Yeah, it was scary. I was like, why can't I move my arms?
yeah, I haven't had quite the same thing, but I've fallen asleep in a position where my arm like loses, basically the circulation gets cut off, and then I wake up in a panic, like, oh my god, my arm's off, or like I lost my arm because I can't feel it, and
Yeah.
thrashing around like trying to get it back. Yeah, that's never fun. I wonder though what that is like, and then maybe that's part of what lucid dreaming is like, where the mind kind of wakes up, where there's a part of the brain, whichever part that is, that basically is aware of what's going on, while the rest of the body is, and brain is kind of in its recharge state.
Man, do you think that master meditators can do that? They just get in a position, let their body fall asleep, and they're just aware. That would be the trippiest thing if
Maybe
that's
that's
how they do it.
yeah. Maybe that's what it is. They're basically awake and asleep at once.
Yeah, they're shutting their body down except
Yeah.
for the essentials. Now, I don't know how much control one can, like a person can do on that. But
Yeah.
if I could wake up without waking up, I don't know. I don't know what else is possible.
Yeah. Although it is a strange thing, because I don't know, I've always felt like the dream state is kind of this, or from what I understand and have read, I mean, it doesn't seem like anyone really knows what it is, but from some of the interpretations, it's like the subconscious kind of sorting itself out, or basically giving you these images of the self-conscious or subconscious. Um, but if you're lucid dreaming and you're conscious of that, and you're manipulating the dream and doing what you want, then
Hmm.
isn't that kind of defeating the purpose of the dream? Because if it's your subconscious trying to figure itself out, but then you're aware, are you, like, how much of the conscious mind is then projecting itself onto the subconscious, and then kind of defeating the purpose of that process for the subconscious? Like, I don't know.
Well,
It's always confused me. I've never quite understood, but I probably have to read about it a bit more.
well, if the conscious mind and the subconscious mind are both involve the brain, how do you separate what is conscious and subconscious while you're asleep?
I don't know. Maybe, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, here's one. I don't know what to call this. I guess I'm speculating. What if the subconscious mind is just a mind that you don't have awareness or control over,
Hmm.
and once you gain control, where you're controlling your dream, you're conscious. So I mean,
So
is the
are you still dreaming
subconscious?
then, or
Yeah, like let's say you're
are you
manipulating the
awake?
dream.
Right.
Yeah, so if you're manipulating the dream and you're playing around with your subconscious thoughts or whatever you want to call them, then you're basically taking control of that subconscious. But is subconscious just a definition of parts of the brain that you can't access, or the mind?
Hmm. Yeah, I'd have to look that up more. That's kind of how I understood it to some degree. It's like, well, I guess there's, yeah, the unconscious mind, the subconscious. I don't know if those are interchangeable. I feel like not, but basically, it's, yeah, the part of yourself you're not aware of, or that you can be aware of, but it manifests itself in ways that you wouldn't notice it, or um, so it is this weird kind of paradoxical thing where if you become conscious of the subconscious, well, it is it still part of the subconscious, or is it then part of the conscious? And then if you're aware that you're dreaming, are you awake, or are you actually dreaming? Like, I I don't know. yeah, like I feel like it's kind of a paradox, like to be awake in your dream. Like, I feel like dreaming state's kind of this thing that you don't necessarily control. Um,
Mm.
you kind of let it wash over you, and then you can wake up and remember it. And like, oh yeah, these things happen. But I feel like if you start to manipulate that, then it's something else. Which, yeah, I mean, I guess they call it lucid dreaming, but it's still dreaming's in there, right? um, so I don't know. I don't know. Again, I'd have to. I feel like I'm just kind of talking out my ass right now. Like,
Yeah,
I
that's
haven't done.
exactly what we're doing. And I love doing that.
I mean, I'll have to read up more. I got books at my parents' place, at my place, that I tell myself I'm going to read. I tell other people I'm going to read. I still haven't read them yet.
I love this conversation because there's no point to it
Mm.
and there's no answer and we don't know what we're talking about, but it trips me out talking about it.
Yeah, I find it inspiring.
Yeah.
Um, it I feel like it's a healthy process. Like it's processing things that have been on my mind, but that I don't necessarily. Uh, it's like things I think about, but then because I've just thought about them, it's once I say them and bounce it off someone else, then I can sort of feel how that idea, right? I get a sense of how that idea feels in a way. Um, so it's like I have to it's like kind of like I have to throw a ball against the wall to know how hard I've thrown it. Because if it comes back into my hand, okay, that's how hard I threw it. If it goes over me, if it falls short. But if I just throw a ball straight ahead, like I have no reference point,
That is a
like a
great
sonar
analogy.
kind of. So I don't know, sonar. I don't know. You
No,
you
no, the
you work
ball.
like that, right? Right. But it's kind of like sonar. Like it tells you how the depth of, or but thank you.
Yeah, you know the what I've noticed is in my life, I've always I focused on school a lot, so I would always study and try to learn new concepts, like in
Mm,
physics, engineering classes, science classes, things like that. So over many years, I've trained my like I've spent most of my time studying things using reasoning and logic. So
right.
I don't know how it is for others, but it always feels like in conversations with people that there's a pressure to make sense of what you say. But
Mm,
oftentimes, if I'm spending so much time trying to be logical when I'm studying things, when I'm just hanging around, this is what I like to do. I like to say stupid things that don't make sense. But it doesn't really work when you're meeting someone for the first time. It's just
Kind
this
of
this
leaves a
makes
weird
it more
impression.
interesting. Yeah, exactly. So I
Yeah.
mean, the point I'm trying to make is uh, if my education has been focused so much on logic, reasoning,
Mm,
and the sciences that there's something else missing that
right.
is there. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah. 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 I don't know. It's weird. I feel that too, but almost the opposite way. Having done, well, I never went through art school a year and a bit. Always thought I was going to be an artist of some kind, and thinking about things and kind of more. My head was more up in the clouds than anything, but even that, there's always something. I don't know how to put it. Something that falls flat in terms of like knowledge and gaining knowledge. Like if I'm trying too hard to make sense of something, then yeah, it doesn't. It seems to like elude me, or it the I don't know if maybe it's the drive, like I get overwhelmed and then I just shut down, or uh, but there's something that I find kind of falls flat, that it's like I have to then like go down a different avenue and explore something else for a bit, and then come back to whatever idea I was thinking about at that time later.
So practically speaking, in your everyday life, day to day, when you meet people and go to work,
Mm,
how does that apply? So if you need to know something practically,
mm.
is that tough or it's easy to learn it, figure it out, get it done?
Um, hmm, I think it depends. Certain processes I have to repeat a number of times in order to learn it and understand it. Other processes I can pick it up fairly quickly. For example, like when I'm building a stair, or it took me a few months to kind of get down the process of how to like, all right, these are the steps we take to build a set of stairs. But when my boss says like, all right, this tool goes in this place, like I'll forever remember like, all right, these are where everything goes. Like tools go here, there, there. This tool goes there. This tool goes there. But then in terms of like building the stair, he'd have to repeat himself multiple. Oh, so what was this step again? Where does this go? Like? How do I? And
Hmm.
I think I don't know. There's certain processes that I can pick up on very quickly or more intuitively, I guess, and other processes that it's I guess yeah, less emotional, more repetition that is the key factor to picking it up.
Yeah, I mean, practically speaking, when you're getting involved with the world around you, you got to put the reps in. You got to
Mm,
repeat, do it over and over again, and that's how you gain competence and become skilled in a certain
yeah,
task or a craft.
yeah, yeah. Like I mean, I never imagined back in high school I would be doing anything carpentry related, but over the years, I just did job after job after job, labor, doing this, doing some drywall, framing this, framing a wall here, um, doing insulation there. So I guess over the years, it's like I picked up enough, but I was never going to stay there, right? Like, oh yeah, I'm never going to be a laborer for the rest of my life. I'm never going to do construction for my rest. I'm always going to be an artist. This is just temporary. And so I guess it was through that repetition that then when I went back to school, I was like, oh, wait a second, like I do know a lot of stuff. Oh, okay. And there's kind of like um, reinforced, I guess, things that I had already known, and that I guess in school it seemed fairly simple because it's like, oh yeah, I've done this 1,000 times. Whereas like people who had just came for the first time, like for the first time, they'd use a skill saw or a table saw. It seemed a lot more daunting to them, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, all throughout my high school, I never considered a career in the trades like
Mm,
carpentry or stonework, or even I don't know that many trades, electrician, things like that.
right.
It was always a focus on academics, and I ended up going into my bachelor's in engineering and did that. But the crazy thing is, by the time I finished my bachelor's degree, I realized that we were taught so many things, and I spent so much time studying all these different topics that there were a few practical things I had to show for it.
Mm,
Um, and in my case, I didn't really do too many extracurricular projects, which
right.
is where you would apply those things that you learn.
Mm,
Because I figured, well, if I'm gonna study these courses, I'm gonna put all my time into it and really understand what they're teaching.
right. Right.
Which, I mean, I don't know. I didn't really enjoy studying so much. I enjoyed studying, but I don't know what I have to show for it.
Right. Yeah, I think I know what you mean. Like it's kind of like once you know the theory, like how do you apply it then? Um, yeah, that's tough because I think theory is something that's very highly prized, but then it's the application's never really told or taught, or and that yeah, that comes from, or I mean that's kind of, I guess, life experience and stuff like that. I think like architecture is kind of like that. You know, there's a lot of people who become architects who never swung a hammer. They don't know really how materials work together other than in the theoretical sense. They've, they design things that, in terms of the layout of the house and how the space works within the house, it makes sense. But then all of the wiring or the HVAC is all kind of messed up because they're trying to cram too much into one spot, or so it's as if they're going off the theory, but then when they design this thing, it doesn't make sense, or the process is a big pain in the ass because they haven't thought about, oh, how am I actually going to put this together? They just thought about, all right, I got to meet code here, I got to meet code here. The space has to be this big. It's got to have this much light. It's there's all these kind of aesthetic considerations, but then the actual like process of putting that together isn't really thought of in the design of it.
Yeah,
Which someone else gets paid big bucks to do, I guess, but it's also a headache sometimes.
yeah. There's often, well, I shouldn't say often. I've had work experiences where there's a gap between designers and like people who implement those designs, which is what you said. Someone designs a building or something like that, but they design it to meet code and to make sure everything fits and try to cram it in. But the people who build it can't really do it because of the way it's designed.
Right.
And I mean, because I've studied so much theory, I would end up in that situation, I think. But that's why I ended up going back to college after finishing my university degree to get more practical hands-on experience,
Right.
specifically in electronics and embedded systems. So I think that provided value. So the point I'm trying to make is there's a real value in both theory and practice. But the weird thing is, in high school, the vibe I got was, well, you got to choose which way you want to go. And in a certain way, it makes sense. If you're training someone for a trade job, then you want to go into the program that's specifically targeted for teaching you the trade.
Right.
And that's not a bad thing. Like, trades are very valuable. Like, an electrician knows how to, I don't even know what an electrician does, but they make the lights work at home. That's what I know.
Without exploding the power box.
Yeah. But like, you tell me to route the lights in this house, I'll be like, I don't know where to start.
Right.
You're like, just give me 2 weeks. I'll do some research. I'll make a schematic. That's basically what I can do. So
yeah,
I know there's value. There's
away.
value in both, but it's just weird that you have to do one to figure out the value of the other.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I guess it becomes like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Like, which one's more valuable, the theory or the practical? And
Yeah,
I guess
I would say, well, I don't care what came first, but now I have a chicken and an egg.
A chicken that lays eggs.
Yeah, basically. No, like you have an egg,
right?
And you have the chicken, so
you have your cake and you can eat it too.
That's exactly it. And I never understood. I never understood that expression.
I think
expression was you can't have your cake and eat it too. But if you have a cake, you can eat it. That's the whole point.
Yeah. But I think it is a what's the word? Not semantic, but basically how the words are ordered. It makes sense one way, but not. I think you can't eat your cake and have it, because once you've eaten it, you don't have it, right?
That makes more sense.
Yeah, but if you have your cake then eat it, then it's like, well, you've done both, and so it as a logical statement. This saying doesn't make sense because, well, yeah, I had my cake and I ate it, so I did both, because chronologically that's how the progression works. But if you eat your cake, you can't have it because it's gone, and I think that's what it's trying to get at.
Yeah, so. you can have your cake and eat it, but you can't eat your cake and then have the cake.
Hmm. Hmm.
But consider this: you can have your cake and you can't eat it because it's a urinal cake.
I mean, I guess it depends on how desperate you are for dessert.
Well, it's called the same thing.
Yeah.
You can't. You can pee on your cake and eat it too, but it won't taste good.
Yeah. Damn. I think that's how they should decorate urinal cakes, like an actual birthday
Make it look like a real cake, so you eat it.
cake. The one soccer dome I was playing at over the summer, or sorry, over the winter, their urinal cakes were in the shape of like soccer nets with a little ball in it. I know.
Okay.
It was very strange, but I thought it was, I don't know. I don't know where the guy found it. Like that's something I feel like you have to search out.
Whoa, that means there are companies that make custom urinal cakes.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's come to think about it. That's probably an untapped market. Actually, no. At this point in time, it's probably overtapped market. But
Yeah, someone asks
3D
you,
printers and
so
all
what do you do for a living? We make soccer net urinal cakes.
that.
What?
But if you want, we can make birthday cake urinal cakes too. Like
Or
whatever.
basketball or football, whatever you want. Yeah. Um, yeah, I don't know how we got onto that.
um, Cakes, having them, eating them, logic,
Right. Yeah.
logic.
So yeah, I did a university bachelor's degree and then did a college certificate.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
I know people who did a college program and now they're doing a university program.
Right, right. Yeah,
So
again, I think it's that mind body dichotomy that is kind of messed people up because it's like I think I think society um, through the different tasks and jobs and careers they've kind of maintained that dualistic approach. So it's like, oh, you either do one or the other. Like you either design stuff or you're the one who puts it together. But it's like, well, why? Like people should like ideally do both. Like learn how to design and learn how to put it together, so they can see a design and be like, oh, okay, I see where they're going at, what they're getting at. But maybe I can tweak it like this, and then also put it together. Because yeah, I think the actual experience of working with the material informs how the design process should go, but then also the design process is what happens before you can start putting stuff together, or else you just have a mishmash of materials that don't make sense, or you have to take stuff down and put it back. It's trial and error, right? So,
yeah, that's how I approach a lot of things. I've tried learning theory and applying it. It doesn't work. I've tried applying it only without learning theory. It doesn't work. You kind of have to go back and forth.
yeah,
It's just so, I don't know, man. It's just a big
yeah,
mess.
yeah. That's growing pains. I tell you. I remember. Well, I actually don't remember the last time I had any growing pains, but I don't know. I was always told that that's what it was. But basically, when I got these really intense pain in my legs, um, and it wasn't. I mean, I guess it was my body telling me something, but it was way out of my control. Like it was kind of like having a headache, but in my legs. And my parents are like, "Oh, that's just growing pains." So I don't know if that's. I guess that's a thing. Did you ever have that growing up, or you just had like really intense pains in your legs? Or
Well, in high school, I did track and field.
mm,
Grade 9 was great, but at the start of the grade 10 season, after running, my knees would hurt like a lot, and I couldn't figure out why.
right.
One of my coaches told me, I think the name of I don't know, whatever. I think it's called Osgood Schlatters something, which basically means I I don't know if it's specifically for boys, but when you're growing, because you're growing, that it causes pain. I don't know what how it works, but I think that was it. Like, so for grade 10, I decided not to do the season because the pain was just too much, and
Right.
that was my decision. So that's the only experience I have there.
Okay. Yeah, no, this pain would happen like when I was in elementary school. I don't know, probably I can't remember exactly. Say like grade 3 to grade 8, and I
Oh,
would just get these really sharp pains in my shin, legs area, like lower leg area. Maybe it had to do with soccer. I wasn't getting enough water or something else, and it was just it was just kind of written off as growing pains. And I just had to kind of deal with it. But
well, I
they stopped happening after a while.
yeah, I used to get shin splints.
Mm,
Well, I didn't know they were shin splints at the time, but my shins would hurt when I was grade 7 and 8. So
well, maybe that's what it was then, and I just confused it with something else.
yeah, so I got shin splints like throughout high school. So basically, I believe it was due to running. So
Mm,
when you run a lot, your shins hurt for some people,
right, right.
and over time they stopped. By the time I was in my early 20s, but now I know my calves are not very flexible, so maybe my body just compensated for that. I'm trying to stretch it out now.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, no, my calves aren't. They're crying out to me sometimes.
Bro, you got to stretch it out.
I don't know. I do every now and again.
You got to do some calf raises every day.
Calf raises.
Yeah, you, or let's see, you do it on a step or a stair. You can do it
Okay.
both legs or one leg at a time. You stand on the stair on the balls of your feet, and then you descend down below the stair and then push your leg back up.
Oh, okay. Huh.
So you can
Okay.
do it one leg at a time or both. I started with both, and then I do one leg at a time now.
Okay.
So yeah, whenever I work out, I try to do as many as I can until I can't anymore, and that's my calf raises for the day.
Right. Huh. Yeah, I should try that. I've been trying to just stretch out. I guess I get these pains in like the Achilles, or it's kind of lingers. I guess after a run, like Achilles tendon heel area. Um,
Yeah, so I get this commonly. What am I trying to say? It happens to me also. Um, but so I've noticed for me personally, the pain or stiffness or tightness, whatever you want to call it, extends from the big toe up to the heel and the ball of the foot, and then it goes up through the shins and into the back of my knee. So calf raises is part of my exercise routine that is trying to strengthen and loosen my lower leg.
okay. Yeah, I think that's yeah. I should be doing those too then.
Yeah,
Lots
let
of
me
time.
know if you need some exercises. I can tell you what I do. I certainly
Okay.
don't recommend that you follow it exactly. Use your
Right.
discretion.
Sure. Sure. Um, yeah, I just find that in soccer, especially, like I've been roll my ankles more often than I ever remember doing when I was younger. So I
Yeah.
think my ankles are weaker than they were. I did something to my right foot, the kind of the ball of my foot right by my pinky, and I stopped really abruptly, kind of on the ball of my foot, and popped something, and it was like 2 months. It was painful and kind of hurt to walk on, and it's gone away since, but it took quite a while for that to heal. And so just these things that, as a kid, like rarely stretched as a kid, rarely did all these things. I was fine.
Yeah.
And now it's like I still have those habits where I'm like, yeah, I'll be fine. And I'm like, no, my body does not regenerate the same way it used to.
Yeah, man. I used to roll my ankle a lot when I
Mm.
used to play a lot of basketball.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's not I don't know. It's yeah, very uncomfortable.
Yeah, it sucks. I hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, my routine is like I try to do an hour of workout every day, and it starts with um, just movement, different ways to move. So I'll just walk forward, then walk backwards for a bit, do a couple of sets. Then I'll do some lunges. I'll walk sideways, and then do like moving squats sideways.
Mm.
So just building up to working all the joints in the body basically,
Right.
so that if you can practice your range of motion, then when you need to go hard, where you're running, and you want to stop on a dime and turn, then you can do that. But I do say that without the intention of doing that. Right now, I mean, I'm not involved in any intense, quick pivoting exercises at the moment. But
Take your game to the next level, man.
well, that's the point. Like I'm building a base where
Right.
I have a routine and understanding of how I can use my body, and trying to build that into my body, like more awareness of the
Yeah,
physical
yeah.
limitations, so that when it is necessary, then you could overload it a bit because you already have that range of motion there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then yeah, I think that's another thing too. Like with the whole warm up, I don't. It's not a habit I've really developed yet. So
Do it.
yeah, I think that'll make a difference as well. Like kind of limbering up before a run, not having my run be the limber up as well as the run.
Mm.
Because it's again like what I was talking about, getting it like that first kilometer where everything's still kind of tense and like it doesn't. Maybe I should stop. But then after a kilometer, it's like that goes away. So maybe if I did these exercises beforehand, then within that kilometer, like I wouldn't feel that in the first kilometer.
Yeah, I mean, I feel a difference in the first kilometer anyway, but I know that when I do the exercises, I don't know. I'm just kind of building it in without trying to logic it out, so that at least if I build some kind of routine, over time I can adjust it so that it makes sense. But
Mm-hmm.
if I'm trying to make sense of a routine and implementing it, there's too much of a gap between what I want to do and what I'm actually doing. But if I'm actually doing something, I know that for 20 minutes I have a warm up period, so
Mm-hmm.
I can tweak it over time.
Right, right.
I mean, oh, this is my favorite part. I try to put in a little dead air.
It's important, collect your thoughts,
Yeah.
take a breath.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, my routine consists of working out, running, watching podcasts,
Mm.
applying for jobs,
Eating food.
eating food. I started drinking whey drinks. So
Oh,
I
okay.
never know what to call it. I just mix water with whey and then drink it.
Right, okay. Is it hot water or just regular water? Like how do you go? Because I find, well, I've been told that, or I've read that hot water can do something to the protein where it, I don't know, destabilizes it, or I can't remember how it was. But
Just
basically,
just room temperature water.
okay, it doesn't clump up, or it does, or how
It
blend
does
it,
clump, but you just stir it and it will unclump.
or okay, maybe I just haven't had enough patience. God damn, this is clumpy. God.
Well, I find the secret is you got to put the powder in before the water.
Uh, Actually, I did try that. Yeah, and if you pour, yeah, because I was pouring the water in slowly, it kind of mixes a bit, a bit, a bit, a bit, a bit. It's kind of like problem. Yeah.
I mean, it's not perfectly uniform, but I have enough small clumps that I can, I can still drink it.
Mm-hmm. And it's been working out. Have you noticed a difference? Or?
I've noticed that after working out, I'm not as tired if I have a glass of the drink.
Mm. Mm.
So I used to be so exhausted after workouts, and they're
Right.
simple workouts, but this helps recover.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, I've been doing similar, more smoothie based, I guess. Milk, protein powder, basically whey powder of sorts. Banana, actually, banana and arugula is a good combo.
What?
Yeah, just a little handful of arugula. There's like that kind of spice, but there's so you get the sweet and then that little like arugula spice at the end. It's like I don't know, I can't explain it, but it worked out. I enjoyed it.
I can
It's like
explain it. That is ridiculous.
my roommate who also had the same uh, reaction when I told her. She looked at me, and she works in a kitchen and makes things all the time. I made her a little bit, gave her a little class, and I was like, "Here, try this." She's like, "You know what? This works." I was like, "Yes, you're right. It does work."
Okay,
Yeah, it's just
make me a banana arugula shake one day, and
the
then
first time I did that, I put a bit of ice cream into it too. But,
okay,
yeah,
make it
try
for
it, man.
me. Make it for me, and we'll get it going.
All right. But I've run out of arugula since and banana, so gotta pick those back up.
Man, I after my run today, I drank 2 glasses of coconut water, and they just tasted like bananas.
Mm.
Weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did it have a kind of grittiness to it? Because like some coconut waters, it's almost like there's a like you can taste the husk or the kind of like grittiness of the coconut.
No, it wasn't really like a thick coconut water, and it did taste like coconut water, but for 1 or 2
Okay.
sips, it was like, this tastes like banana.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah,
Well, maybe
that's
it just identified with something else for a moment, and then other than what it was on the label.
mm, great story.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe we'll find out one day inanimate objects have the power of choice too. Like maybe it was just
Whoa.
like, not today. I really want to be banana,
Wow.
and you picked up on it, and maybe it
Bro, it will
fulfilled
be
its.
like Animorphs for fruits.
Exactly.
You live your day as a banana, but at night you turn into a grape.
Mm-hmm. And then when you dream, you're coconut water. So like, damn.
Yeah, but then you realize you weren't in a glass, so you wake up and you're like, oh man, not again.
There's nothing to contain me. I'm free.
Yeah.
Can be absorbed by the oneness of all things.
Yeah, but then part of you would be on the floor and part of you would be dripping down the table.
Yeah. But then you would wake up and it's like, oh fuck, I'm just a banana. Damn it.
I mean, all bananas want to be coconut water. It's a fact of life. I mean, ask anybody. Bro, I just asked my
Yeah.
friend. He's a plantain, but it's a cousin. It's basically the same thing.
Yeah. uh,
Yeah. This is the best. But I love talking about stupid things.
Yeah, man, that's honestly that's what comedy is for me. It's like it's the break in the pattern, and it's that thing you don't expect coming up,
Yeah.
which is also kind of awful because sometimes people will be telling me a story that's not funny whatsoever, but then there's this unexpected twist, and I just burst out laughing because it could be a serious story, but then I'm caught, or I've been um, thrown for a ride, I guess, or however it goes, caught off guard, and then I just burst out laughing because it just my mind's interpreting the story one way, and then there's this other thing that happens in the story, and I think it's the funniest contrast ever, and everyone's like, "Why the hell are you laughing? This isn't funny." uh, I don't have any specific example, but
But I
it's a
know
thing
that
that
laugh.
it's yeah. There's a break in the pattern, and there's a kind of absurd situation that arises from it, or in my mind as I'm processing the story, I'm understanding it in one way, and then this little tidbit of information just kind of like switches that all around, and I'm in tears laughing while
Mm.
everyone else is scratching their head. It's like that. Well, actually, no, it's not like that. Never mind.
Mm.
I don't know. Reactions. I don't know. I just laugh at things that are unexpected, I guess. I think a lot of slapsticks like that, you know, it's, I don't know how many times, like in high school, I falling off a deck into water or something. It's like, how much more, like throughout that sequence, how much more absurd could they get? In each three of those movies, I'm sure they use the same gag every time with different objects, and he falls into different shit. But I don't know.
Which
He
movie?
just never. The Naked Guns. Sorry, I don't know if I said but yeah, O.J. Simpson's in it.
I haven't seen
He's
those.
I'm not sure how I'd feel about them now. I mean, at the time, I thought they were hilarious. If I watched them now, I don't know. I maybe would have a different opinion than what I did 10, 15 years ago. But at the
Yeah,
time, my God, they made me laugh. The absurdity of them were just unreal.
yeah, it's crazy how some movies just age differently.
Hmm.
I'm trying to think of an example of a movie that was great. I really liked watching The Mask with Jim Carrey.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I haven't seen it for a few years.
Mm.
I don't actually remember what happens and too much that happens in there. But yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah. What? Oh man. Yeah, I remember we had that on VHS and we watched it often.
Hmm.
I laughed a lot. Yeah,
Jim
what's
Carrey is great for slapstick humor.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's actually there was me, myself, and Irene. That's a movie I remember watching in high school and thought was hilarious, and I watched it 2 months ago, and yeah, it had its moments, but it was kind of like, yeah, it's I don't know, maybe that style of comedy was, and I think that's the thing too, where like styles of comedy change from generation to generation, and it kind of represents like part of the psyche of that specific generation. So
Mm.
the whole like Jim Carrey exaggerated, like um, exaggerated gestures and facial expressions, and it spoke to like the people of that generation at the time. But now it's like the comedy has changed to something else. Probably, well, yeah, something more like a bit more intense, I guess, or you look at the kind of awkward comedy of some of the, well, it's started off, I guess, in British comedy. These situations that were just like unbearably awkward, but that was the comedy, and I don't know, it was a thing for a bit, and I don't know if people still produce that kind of comedy.
Well, you're basically talking about any Michael Cera movie.
So I guess it is what is beyond the British thing, yeah. But yeah, like the original Office and the American version. But I feel like that was a bit more lighthearted than the original, which was very like this very unpleasant at times. Um, well, there's another one my brother watched. It's about roommates. One of them's like this crazy army guy. I can't remember if it's the guy who plays Watson in the Sherlock series or if it's. I think he plays Bilbo in the Hobbit too, or maybe
Martin
that's not.
Freeman.
Yeah, I think that might be him. It's either him or the guy from Shaun of the Dead. But
And it's a
I
TV
think,
show.
yeah, I think it is actually the Shaun of the Dead guys. I think they did, yeah, and it's about these roommates, and they have a female roommate who moves in, but they're like these kind of weird guys.
Okay, let me look this up.
But just from what I remember, really awkward like situations that.
Okay, so
It's good for an awkward laugh, but it's not
Martin
something I'd watch all the time.
Freeman TV show.
I don't think it's him. I think it's the Shaun of the Dead guys.
Okay.
I don't know their names either,
Well, Simon Pegg and Nick Frost are the two guys in
but
there.
okay. I think it's them, yeah. And there's a TV show about roommates. Maybe it's called Bunkies or something. I can't.
All right, I'm just looking up here. I'll share my screen. Okay. Okay. Can you see the screen?
Oh, okay. Yes.
Is that the guy?
Television. I don't. If you go to television, there maybe.
How old is it?
Maybe it's spaced. I think it's spaced. That seems.
Okay, let me
Maybe
Google
not.
some
Never
pictures.
mind.
No?
I don't know.
We'll figure this out. Let's do it.
This is embarrassing. I don't know.
All right, so it was about roommates.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, this says something about moving in together. Okay, you got.
Oh yeah, This.
This is it? That's fine. Let's.
I'm just reading it right now.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think that is it. Yeah, spaced. That's the one. Yeah.
Let's find a picture.
Yeah.
Okay. Spaced. Simon Pegg.
But I don't know. It's been a while. I never really got into it, but I do recall there being some pretty awkward moments. Kind of
These look like the people?
Yeah. That's the one.
Okay. Well, I have never seen this.
Yeah, my brother loved it. He recommended I watched it. I watched a bit of it, maybe an episode or two. I don't know, maybe I was too stoned to wasn't in the right mindset. I don't know. But
sounds like you were spaced out.
Yeah, not in the right space. Yeah, comedy is a weird thing though.
Yeah, I for the last 2 years or so, I've been thinking about trying an open mic at like a stand-up. But I mean, I don't think I'm that funny, so I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I don't know, it's tricky. I think there's a lot of elements that go into, there's the stage presence, there's the written part, like the joke, there's the way you set a joke up, there's whatever mindset the audience is in, there's like the whole, setting kind of idea.
I think it's simpler than that. I just got to get on the stage and then do a really bad job and then keep getting scared. Eventually, I'll be so sick of being scared, I'm going to start being funny.
Yeah. Just don't go on a big spree and influence a cult following.
Dude. What would be a good cult name I could start?
I was just saying that because that's like the kind of the plot for that Joker movie, like the failed comedian who just gets up on stage and then like he just everyone ends up making fun of them.
No, no. I mean,
No,
like,
it would. Yeah, it wouldn't be like
yeah,
that. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
I'm saying,
That's.
it's just the fear of talking about.
Mm,
It's the fear of freestyling,
mm.
talking in front of strangers because I haven't
I
done that.
yeah.
Usually, when I talk to a group of people, I have something prepared.
Mm,
But anytime I've talked to a group of people and tried to be funny, it's never worked.
right.
But whenever I've not tried to be funny,
Right.
once or twice, people will just start laughing, and I have no idea why they're laughing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Whenever I try to tell a story, it's or I'm like consciously like, all right, I'm gonna make this a good story. Then I inevitably jumble it up somehow.
Yeah, I
Whereas
think
if it's
it's yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of I don't know what to do, but in everyday life, now I'm just trying to see. Well, first of all, I got to meet people, but there's a pandemic, so you know.
yeah, yeah, it doesn't really. It's not conducive for social interaction. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give it another year or two and just figure out. I guess reading people, seeing like
Mm, mm,
when they're expecting a punchline and when they're not.
right, right.
I think it's
Yeah, you
really
could.
complicated, but it's complicated to think about.
Right.
But I don't know. I'm speculating. I think I'm going to stop.
So I don't know. Yeah, I've thought about it, but yeah, I don't think I could pull it off. It's yeah, I don't think I my nerves would be shot. My delivery would be, it would take. Yeah, okay, it's possible. I think I could work at it, but I don't know if I'm willing to. There's other
You
things
got to
that
get the first one out of the way. That's the whole.
right,
That's the biggest step right now is to get one out of the way.
right.
Well, so like what I've learned so far from recording these conversations and putting it up on YouTube. Before I put it up, I watch it again so far,
Mm,
and when I'm watching it, I get a whole different vibe than when I'm actually involved. Like right now,
right.
I could feel a certain way, and then I watch it back, and then it's like I'm watching someone else speak.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's weird, but that also uh, leads to the point where leads to the idea that if you get on stage for the first time, it's probably not as bad as you think it was.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, okay. I see what you mean. Yeah. Because it's kind of in that spontaneous in the moment energy as opposed to the captured energy, which is like when you revisit it, you're in a different mindset. Settings different?
Yeah, when you revisit it, you already went through it.
Right.
So when you watch it again, you're just like, huh,
Yeah.
that's not how I remember that.
Right. It's like, oh, why did I do it like that? Or, oh. But then that's what created the moment in the first place.
Exactly.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? It is strange. I was talking to someone. I think it was yeah. It was I was carpooling with guys yesterday after soccer. I drove them to soccer and back, and I was talking about the first time I ever felt a really intense sense of nostalgia. I think I was about like 4 years old. I don't know, 3 or 4. I was still at home. Like my dad worked, my brother was going to school, so it was just me and my mom. And I remember sitting in my room alone, listening to this recorded tape that my older brother, and I had made, and we were laughing, making jokes, having a great time. And I was sitting alone in a room listening to this, feeling absolutely miserable. Like just
Oh,
the and this like little tiny kid, 4 years old. Uh, so I think I don't know recorded unless you're ready for it. I think like recorded media does have this weird effect where like it almost kind of uh, yeah, it doesn't quite capture what's going on in the moment. Like it captures the physicality of things, but I don't know. There's something else, I guess, that
Yeah, there's nothing that captures a live in-person interaction. You
yeah.
can get close with things like video and audio, but
Mm,
it's just different.
hmm
And I've learned that specifically through doing these conversations.
mm,
So when I watched podcasts before doing these conversations, what I saw is what I assumed the person was like. But when I saw myself back, I it felt like it wasn't 100% me,
right.
because you're watching something, you're hearing something,
Mm,
but you're not experiencing what you're watching and hearing because you already did it before. So
right.
I don't know, it changed my perspective as to, when I watch videos of people on TV or online or commercials, whatever I'm feeling is something that I'm creating for myself.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, that's nice. I feel like it's kind of relieving
Mm.
because then like it kind of any expectation kind of is, well, it's not for anything else other than myself. So
I mean, you got to do you, and then if people don't like it, well, I mean, what can you do? Not be you? You could, but
it's pretty painful, but yeah, you can. It's just painful,
yeah.
and that's a pain, and a mental emotional anguish.
Mm.
Uh,
Yeah, it's a weird thing. I mean, I used to worry a lot about, how to talk. What should I say?
mm,
I don't know what to do in this situation or that situation. Am I
mm,
speaking clearly? Am I making sense? All these questions. But eventually I got sick of that, and
mm,
you just got to wing it. Um, Sometimes it's just not going to work out. Sometimes it will work out.
yeah.
Um, and you might have to suffer some consequences, but there's no use suffering the consequences before you start suffering the consequences. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's nothing worse than suffering the consequence twice, once before and
And
once during or after.
the weird thing is, what if what if the anticipation of suffering consequences creates your suffering later, right?
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Being so worried about getting cancer that like you get stressed about cancer and then you end up getting cancer because you're so stressed.
Well, I mean, I was thinking of a simpler
I'm
example,
sorry.
like
Yeah, I guess sorry.
like for example, let's see, say you're talking to someone you met for the first time, and you already know you were going to meet them, like let's say for coffee.
Mm,
So, I'm looking for work. So let's say I arrange a meeting with a hiring manager at a coffee shop,
mm,
and then I worry, oh man, I don't know what to say. Should I ask about the salary first or at the end? And then you're just worried about it. What if it's not enough? Do I just leave the chat?
mm.
Think about all this stuff. Then you get there, and the person says, "Hi, how are you?" in a nice way, and they're trying to shake your hand. And then you just blurt out, "So what's the salary?" That's going to ruin the
Right.
whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah, there's the whole flow has gone to shit right off the bat.
You're taking yourself, or no,
Yeah.
how should I say it? You're preventing yourself from being involved with that person. And,
Yeah.
you know, it's like they're there, but you're not fully there.
Yeah, I used to do this weird thing where and I still kind of do, where basically I'll announce to people like, oh, I get anxious or I do this. And people are kind of like, oh, okay. And then they don't really want to deal with that or
Mm.
not deal with it, but it kind of gives a weird vibe. And I don't know, in my head, I'm thinking like, oh, I just want to be honest, like in case I do give a weird vibe. But then in saying that, I think that's what gives off the weird vibe. Okay, this guy is anxious, like self-professed anxious person.
I mean, interactions are weird. What can I say?
Yeah, but I'm working on not doing that because
Okay.
I'll let people decide that for themselves.
Yeah, you can't just meet up with people and say, "Hi, I'm Akshay. I hate meeting people." You know?
It's like, oh hey, I'm I work here, I do this. Like, oh yeah, I hate people and I get anxious. Oh, okay.
So like, do we stop hanging out now? No, no, no. Let's hang out. I just don't like hanging out.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's fine. Like if that's just how you operate, but it's cool that you're making an effort to explore different ways to interact with people.
I think part of it is at least in my head, this fear of not being honest, or
Hmm.
which is, I don't know, it's such a weird mind game I've played with myself over the years. So when I was a kid, I got in trouble a number of times for lying, whether it was
Oh,
for
okay.
small things or big things. You know, they're just on a number of occasions gotten a fair amount of trouble for lying. That always stuck with me. So then when I go to talk to people or introduce myself, I feel like, oh, I've got to let them know that this is my intention. This is who I am. This is how I feel about myself. These are all the things that are going on in my head, and like out of this sense of trying to be honest and not lying. But I think that just like gets in the way. Yeah, I don't know, it's a strange, very strange kind of. Well, it just doesn't achieve what I want it to, I guess, in the end. I'm trying to be honest, but in the end, I just end up pushing people away by putting all my problems on the table.
Right. Yeah. See, I
um,
mean, I think it works for us because I don't mind. Like, I like talking about whatever.
right,
Um,
right.
but yeah, I
Yeah,
have.
like just meeting someone for the first time, they're like, all right, well, why? I don't want to talk about this shit. I just want to get drunk.
Okay. Okay.
And that's not always what it is, but it's like, people have to be in a certain headspace to open up about things. And by being too open right off the bat, it comes across as maybe being desperate or something, I don't know, something else other than just trying to be open.
Yeah, man. I think you just got to get your reps in. Just meet randos, and then
Mm.
just if you're making an effort to meet random people, then it doesn't matter if you push them away. You learn, oh, okay, so that happened with this guy because of this.
Yeah,
Because
I
the
think,
first thing
yeah.
I said to him was, oh, I hate beer at a bar.
And I've never done this, but when you say that, I wonder if like just going on a bus or subway and just striking up a conversation with a stranger, just like, just, oh, hey, cool book there. Oh, well, that's a nice pair of shoes, and just something like trivial that you can kind of shoot the shit about, just share a story, and kind of get that process, or develop that process, I should say, and the storytelling, and yeah, doing that with strangers, so that it's because you'll never see them again, and it's probably a story for them to tell their family at dinner time or something,
And
and
can
then
you
you.
believe this random guy told me my socks were cool on the bus? What a creep.
Yeah, yeah. This stranger accosted me for 10 minutes. All I wanted to do was listen to music, and he was talking about bullshit.
Well, that's where you gotta. I think you have some leeway because
Mm.
you can say two or three things, and then within those responses, you can gauge whether this person wants to continue or not.
Right, right. Yeah, it's not just talking at someone. It's like there's the interaction there, and I think that's where I was getting at, or where I think the value could lie is practicing like storytelling for friends with strangers, um, and having that like basically just practicing communication skills
Yeah, I
with
mean
strangers,
it's
because yeah,
it's like in theory it's great because you're you're changing yourself. You're meeting a random person you know nothing about
yeah,
and trying
all
to
of the
find
set of
something
awkward.
common. Yeah.
yeah, body language is something that you may not have ever seen. The like, you really don't know what to expect, and so you kind of create this interaction and exchange based on like the unknown, I guess.
Practically, it's difficult for me because
Mm.
my impulse a lot of times is I just don't want to do that. But
Yeah,
that's but
yeah, I shut down myself. Yeah.
but I do make an effort to whenever I pass someone on the street near in the neighborhood, it's like, hey, how are you?
Mm.
Stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I got to keep that up, and then hopefully it translates to meeting people in other places outside of my
Right.
neighborhood,
Right.
like
Right.
at a restaurant or on a bus, stuff like that.
Hmm. Yeah, that's one thing I found when I lived in Toronto was just I was just so terrified of everyone. Didn't want to make eye contact. Didn't want to do this. Didn't want to have any interaction with anyone. And since moving out of the city, I've felt like a lot more. I don't know, more confident, more peace of mind, more open. I'm still working on things, obviously. Like I'm sure some people would still think I'm a bit weird in certain respects, but we're just not open. I don't know, but definitely not like to the degree it was when I was in the city. Holy Christ, that was like next level neurotic. Just don't want to go back there. That's all.
Maybe it's just the city, man. Like, some
Yeah,
people do well with really crowded places, and some people do well when you have a lot of open space, fewer people.
maybe that's it. Yeah, because where I grew up was on a 17-acre plot of land, lots of forest. So
I heard that.
oh, okay. um, so yeah, no, I yeah.
Was
So
that
going
Zach?
for
Sorry,
no,
sorry to
no,
interrupt.
Noah.
Okay, I don't.
Bye, Noah. Um, but
Yeah, you were
yeah,
saying a 17-acre plot of land.
yeah. So I think going from living in that environment to then living in a city, knowing nobody, not really having
Mm.
any plan or reason for being there other than like a handful of friends who were living there at the time. I don't know, just kind of falling into kind of routine of work and smoking weed and playing video games, watching TV after work, and then waking up and going to work and repeating this whole cycle over and over. Yeah, I just didn't want to see people then. So, so it's just weird, yeah, because like I think it would be a really healthy exercise, but I also don't know if I could still do it. Like my anxiety would just build and build and build.
Do you want to do it?
Um, yes and no. Like I don't feel like I need to. I guess is what I mean. Like, but it would be a useful skill to have. You know, I think I think in general I've always wanted to be good at storytelling, but I get caught up on details and then basically confuse the story or make it more complicated
Mm.
or I start telling the story backwards because it's like, oh yeah, this happened. Oh, but before that, this thing happened. Oh wait, but before that, like that's why we did this because this thing happened. It becomes this confusing mess, and the person's looking at me like, the hell are you talking about? Like, and then I
I
get
would love it.
lost in the
I would love
story.
it.
Okay, but it's it's just not a it's not a skill that I intuitively have.
Well, if
I
you
think
want
it's one of those
to,
things I would have to work at.
yeah, if you want to work at, let's see, going back into the city, you could always book an Airbnb for a weekend, go there, and
Mm-hmm.
then make an effort to go out for the day, come back, try it again, and
Oh,
come
okay,
back.
yeah. Yeah, I don't think I would ever move back to the city per se, but like just to visit for sure. I think I
Yeah.
could do that. but I think I'm someone who needs space and property and land.
Mm.
Just the feeling that there aren't. It's a sense of like that I often got when I was in the city, that the walls have ears. It didn't matter what I did or said, or that somehow someone would know. Or so there's kind of like a sense of privacy, I guess, but it's not like I guess it is privacy, but there's something emotional about it that yeah, I just feel like property in the space kind of allows me to be comfortable in that space, because like someone's not looking over my shoulder. There's not like some kind of expectation that I have to fulfill or follow, or which there always is in life, I guess, but not when I'm at home. That's like my sacred space, so to speak.
Okay.
Like the workspace is much, which is partly why I have a hard time making my personal space a workspace, because they're just different spaces in my head.
Okay.
So I don't know, I'm going off on a tangent here, I guess. Long story short, not a good storyteller.
I mean, it depends on your audience. You have an audience in me, yeah. So
how sympathetic and empathetic they are.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it was great talking to you.
I think thanks, actually.
I'll end the recording here.
Okay.
Yeah, anything else you want to say before we end it?
I don't know. Hopefully I'll read some more and then we can do this again. And
yeah, I'm down. Thank you for doing this. I'd love to do it again.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's been awesome.
Okay. Oh, hold on.